Somebody is willing to take the spot as Joe Biden's vice president. That person is not necessarily a sitting U.S. senator or a sitting U.S. governor or a former U.S. governor or a former U.S. senator or anybody who's held any office higher than a local state rep. And that person would be Stacey Abrams.
A lot of people are looking to you as a possible vice presidential pick for Joe Biden. Now, I love it. You said you would be an excellent running mate. It's refreshing to hear such confidence. I love it. I would be great at the job, and I want it, you said. So tell us why you would be an excellent running mate, even though it's pretty obvious to me.
Well, I appreciate that.
Pretty obvious to me. How is it obvious to you, Joy? What has she done? Her highest office she's ever had is a local state rep. Not a U.S. rep, not a congressman even, like a local state rep in Georgia. There are millions of people more qualified to be vice president than Stacey Abrams. This is just what the women of The View do, is they speak without thinking. I mean, that's sort of the definition of The View. But Joy here just likes the idea of Stacey Abrams. For what reason? We'll get to that in a second. So she says, oh, you'd be perfect. You'd be so qualified. I mean, it's so obvious to me. But listen, since I can't quite name it right now, what do you think? It's like that time that Whoopi Goldberg a few weeks ago said, I think Dr. Jill Biden should be the Surgeon General. And the other women said, what? She goes, oh, yeah, she's an amazing doctor. She's an amazing. They said, no, actually, Whoopi, I think she's a doctor of education. I think she's a teacher. She's not a doctor. Oh, okay. And they just talk at it because they like the idea of these Democratic politicians, especially if they check some intersectional boxes like Joe Biden and Stacey Abrams. So they just say things that have no connection to reality. Stacey Abrams, though, is prepared with an answer.
Tell us why you would be an excellent running mate, even though it's pretty obvious to me.
Well, I appreciate that. And yes, I try to be straightforward because while we hope the work speaks for itself, sometimes the work needs a hype man. And I learned early on that if I didn't speak for myself, I couldn't tell the story. But here's where I am. I've spent the last 25 years of my life in service, doing the work that I believe needs to be done.
Is there anything more grating than when a career politician refers to their work exclusively as service? Listen, I'm a martyr. I'm Mother Teresa, basically. I've served you. Because I went to law school and then I'm absolutely hungry and I crave political power. And so I ran for the first office I could. And I've been paid by your taxpayer dollars ever since to do, in Stacey Abrams' case, absolutely nothing. I'm just a real servant. You know, I'm practically a missionary or a martyr. Yep, that's me. Also, there's more evidence here that Stacey Abrams is not qualified to run a coffee shop, much less to run as vice president of the United States. Stacey Abrams doesn't know what a hype man is. She said, look, you hope the work speaks for itself. In Stacey Abrams' case, it doesn't because she hasn't done anything. But she said, but sometimes the work needs a hype man. Yeah, a hype man is someone who isn't you. The hype man is the guy who isn't the main person who goes and chats up how wonderful the work is. But because Stacey Abrams hasn't accomplished anything and she's just a loser, she's known nationally for having lost a race, she's got to be her own hype man. It's very ugly. It's very off-putting. It's just a woman who seems very prideful, boasting about things she has not accomplished and complaining about offices that she hasn't won. So then finally, she makes the case for all that work that we need the hype man for.
What do you say to critics who say that you aren't qualified for vice president because you've only held state office?
I would say that national experience can be measured in multiple ways. And the truth of the matter is what we want is capacity. We want competence and we want skills. And I would challenge anyone to look at my resume and to understand that I've built 3 national organizations in the last year and a half, tackling the most fundamental questions in our country. And I'm not stopping simply because there are people who dislike what I do. I'm working on it because my responsibility is to serve the people like me, like my parents, like my cousins, who are working in chicken processing plants and who are worried about where their next paycheck comes from and who deserve a government that can be responsive. And if I'm not willing to say that's work I can do and back it up with a resume that shows I've done that work, then I shouldn't be in the business I'm in.
Right, you shouldn't because you've proved that you can't do that work. You were a state rep for 10 years and then you tried to run for governor and you lost. That's it. There's the proof. Not even just that you lost a race, but you didn't really do anything when you were a state rep. She's built 3 national organizations over the last year. What does that mean? What are the names of the organizations? What have those organizations accomplished? Do you know how easy it is to start a political action committee or something, or a nonprofit, and you get 1 donation in California and 1 donation in New York. You say, I've got a national organization. Sure, you organized something, I guess. What does it do? What is its name? We have no idea. 3 national organizations and we haven't heard of any of them? Man, that's pretty sad. They're tackling the most fundamental questions in the country. How? What are they doing? She isn't doing anything. She hasn't ever done anything. The only reason that she is being considered is because the Democratic Party is obsessed with sex and race. So just to begin, Joe Biden says, I am going to pick a woman. I don't care who's most qualified. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to pick a woman because that will help me pander to my base. And so they say, okay, we're going to pick a woman. Now, many Democrats have said it's got to be a woman of color. So now we've got race added to sex here. Those are the 2 qualifications. And yeah, sure, Stacey Abrams checks the intersectional boxes of victimhood. Is that going to put her in the best position? Is that going to put the Democrats in the best position to win? You just check a couple superficial identity boxes instead of looking at any accomplishments, which Stacey Abrams completely lacks. There are millions of Americans more qualified than her to be Joe Biden's running mate. Okay, I don't think this is going to help them. I don't think it's going to help them because what the Democrats are playing on here is they think that these intersectional victim identity boxes now matters more than how you can help in the Electoral College. So they think that around the country, people are going to look and they'll say, well, Joe Biden, maybe I don't care for him that much, but Stacey Abrams is black, so I'm going to vote for her. Or Stacey Abrams is a woman, so I'm going to vote for her. Or whatever the identity group is. Usually, historically, people have picked vice presidents to help them win a certain state. Is Joe Biden going to win Georgia? Probably not. Probably Georgia's going to go for Trump. Is Stacey Abrams going to help him win Georgia? Probably not. She lost the governor's race. Now Brian Kemp is the governor. So she doesn't add anything in terms of picking up a new state. They just think people's sexual and racial solidarity is going to outweigh the importance of winning this state or that state. I don't think there's any evidence of that. I think they're going to regret that decision if they pick Stacey Abrams, which is why I'm now fully behind Stacey Abrams for Joe's running mate. If you enjoyed that break from the disinformation, the historical revision, and the screaming about the end of the world, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another video.